Hey, pretty lady, tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you're not beautiful. Who told you all those lies that just deceiving you? Don't you know that you can be all you've always dreamed of? God made you beautiful, said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last, so don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. Hey, young man, I see through your eyes and I can tell you the way you see yourself is how I feel you. Don't you know the stuff of what you're made of? Everybody listening, as long as you're breathing, yes, you have hope. And if you're down, the only way is up. Don't you know that he who's down needs fear no fall? God made you beautiful, said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last, so don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. Hey, hey, don't believe those lies and those illusions. Don't you know that you are better, bigger and better than that? Yeah, God made you beautiful. He said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last, the head, not the tail. God made you beautiful. He said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last, so don't believe those lies and those illusions. Don't you know you're beautiful? Yeah. Me and my Rugo, but my control. Because you're beautiful. Because you're beautiful.
Hello and good evening, people. Welcome to Powder Room, where the realest talk happens. We're so stoked to have you here with us tonight. It's actually amazing. I'm so excited because of the topic. I'm always excited. I don't know why. But let me talk you through first about what Powder Room is. So the Powder Room is a private space in a public place where you can get to let your hair down, have honest conversation, gain on common sense, and then put yourself back together again to face the world with truth, tact, and tenacity. Now, do not forget our topic for today is who is in the guest room? Who is in the guest room? I'm not alone. I'm Kara, the wordsmith, but I'm not alone. I'd like to welcome Casey, the realist. Hello, Casey.
Hi, Kara. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here again today. C, are you there? Hello, C. Where is she?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good to be here again. Hope you had a good week. Let me call Ada the Sage. Hi, Ada from Canada.
Hello. Why is it that you're always the one that has to introduce me? See, it's either I'm introducing you or you're the one introducing me.
Maybe learned things.
I guess so. Hi guys, it's nice to have to connect with everyone again. We hope you guys would have fun today. Feel free to drop your questions, your comments. Let's just know what you think while we talk. And I think Honorable Prof, the Honorable Dr. Professor, what else can I even add to her accolades?
Emeritus.
Just simply Prof. My name is Ruth. Just simply Prof will do. Prof will do. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we can.
Hello. Has it been 1 week already? I can't believe it has been 1 week. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah.
So welcome. Casey the realist, C the strategist, Ada the sage, Ruthie the professor, and of course myself, Kara the wordsmith. And today we're talking about who is in the guest room. So just so that we're all on the same page, what is the guest room? So the guest room in this context is a space that is reserved for guests who are not a part of the nuclear family. So any guest that is not a part of the nuclear family, they're the ones that, that space is reserved for. And I think to kick things off, it's be a really good idea to, just rewind a bit, go back into when we were kids and how our homes were and who was in our guest room. So I think that, let me start from that question. So who has been in our guest room growing up? Casey, I think I'll start with you. The rest, please feel free to come in if you want to. Casey, who has been in your guest room when you were growing up?
All right, so growing up for us, the norm was nephews, nieces, second cousins, some need to be in school, maybe they are way away from home, and they come to stay with you. And so almost all of my, childhood life, there was someone living with us. And I think the norm then was, as they come to stay, they also support, as helps also in the home. So the home is just like theirs, everybody stays together. This recent trend of having to bring in strangers as maybe helps, nannies, wasn't the norm, And then today, of course, it's evolved to having, friends, mentees, and more people coming to stay. Yeah.
Yeah, so Casey, let me jump right in. I had a similar experience with you growing up. We had quite a number of relatives staying long term. In fact, I think there was a time I even said, oh, let me count how many were in this house. Because there were 5 children already. And then, in that flat in Sulere, then I counted, I think we're up to 16 at some point in time. But it felt normal because that's how I grew up. And, cooking from large pots and all that. So that was our experience, having relatives all the time from both sides, both mom and dad sides. Let's hear from others. Thanks.
Okay, I think I grew up as an only child, so I don't know if that was what formed the bulk of my dad's decisions, but I think over time I also came to understand and realize that it was always my dad's idea not to have relatives. My dad just didn't want anybody in the house. He was content with himself, his wife, and his daughter, and so he made it clear, I don't want, and my mom, Africa, most women don't want to look at as if they're the ones who are preventing people from coming, because in Africa, we just assume everything is the woman's fault, right? So my mom is like, Godly, let's accommodate. My father's immediate siblings and my mom's were all established and out of the country and all that. So the people who really wanted to come were relatives, children of my uncle, my father's cousins. Most of them were guys. My dad just didn't want it. And looking back, I actually see a lot of wisdom in why he didn't want them, because the kind of visitors we had, the few times we had, I think they were just out for mischief, and mischief, and they didn't have any plans. But having said that, I think at the end of the day, the quality, which is why we're even having this conversation today, the quality of guests we used to have then, and like Casey was saying, those are family. Now we have strangers. The quality of guests we used to have then and now, like 360 degrees. There's so much difference, and I think that's why it's so alarming now what's going on in the guest room. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Ada. I think I'm going to come back to you on that when you said quality. You might need to talk to us a bit about that. But then Ruthie, share with us, what are the reasons for people coming over, and how long is too long? I know why I'm asking, because your house is a hotel, is a veritable hotel. I remember, there's no time you go to Ruthie's house, there's nobody. In fact, there's always not somebody, there's always some people there. And I remember way back in university, chatting with your husband before you even married him, he would always say, when he gets married, his house, everybody come over. Please tell us, what are the reasons why these people come over, and how long is too long?
Okay, there are 1,001 reasons why your family members or you get people to come into the house to stay. It might be the reason from them, it might be the reason from you. Like Casey said, sometimes it's about support. Family members come to support, they come to help out, and they're sometimes they come for just a visit, what we call holiday, in this part of the world, they're coming for holiday. And so you get people to stay. Sometimes it's because they need accommodation, because you can't have a family member maybe coming to the town where you live in, and then you have to tell the person to stay somewhere else. Usually, so they just gravitate to your house, and that's where they have to stay because maybe they got a job there, or they have to come for youth service. There are different reasons why family members come, even friends, even brethren, and a lot of people. There are different reasons, and we're expected to be at least hospitable. So a lot of times we open up the house and let them come in. And when you now come to the tenure, how long is too long is really something that is very hard to define, because sometimes they come in, that conversation has not happened to say, this is how long you're supposed to stay. And so, there's really just like a gray area in the aspect of duration. And so they're just there, and we're just like, okay, when are you going? But we can't say something. So, but usually when it comes to visits, it's usually the duration of the holiday. When it comes to support, I think usually when it comes to support for babies, maybe when your in-laws come to help with the babies, when the baby grows up and the dedication has happened, then we know that the visit is about to round up. So there are all sorts of durations, and if the conversation has not taken place, you don't really know how long. And when you ask how long is too long, I'll bring an analogy later on in the show about how long is too long. I'll kind of create a picture where you get an understanding of, because sometimes it's all happy at the beginning, but when time goes too long, nerves start to clash and things start to get, so that is when you know that something has to be done. And,
thank you.
Yeah.
Realist, I saw your face.
Yes. No, I was following the story. I was following the gist.
Let's believe that. Let's believe that for now. Okay, but still coming to you, Casey. There's a story I can never forget. There was a time I was going to travel abroad, and I needed to stay with a relative, and I really was very worried because I'm very protective of people's spaces. I didn't want to be. I just don't like being a burden generally in life, and so I shared that concern with you, and you gave me a tip of a lifetime. Please, I'm hoping you know the story I'm talking about. Share with us today? What's that tip? How do you manage when you're staying in people's houses?
All right, Kara. So now the lens is on, you being the guests, right? In the guest room. Yes. So I think I remember the story you're referring to. I remember it vividly. It was, I was on my way to school. School was in Chicago. And I had a relative in another city about 2 hours away. I could have gone straight up, to school. But if you know me well, you would know that I'm someone who rates, my family values are very high, pretty high. I believe in the bond, the unity of family and all of that. And so I decided to go, through their place. A few days and then, to school, back to their place, and then back to Nigeria. So I get here and it was obvious I wasn't welcome. Of course, when I was leaving, I already know how it can be over there, bills and all of that, even when the people are relatively comfortable. And, this particular family, relatively comfortable, I will say. So I came respecting myself. And not only respecting myself, I came with, will I call it a plain mind? There's a mind with which you need to stay in someone's house. There's a mindset to have. So when I came, I didn't come like a guest that came all the way, so you needed to welcome me with roses and petals. In fact, I didn't get any of that. I stood for long hours at the door just to let myself in through the door. And then when I came in, so you have guests to wake up in the morning, you're still in your room, waiting for the hosts probably to come, greet you, and all of that, especially in a setting where I was more or less a younger one, okay? I was a younger one, but as a married woman, though younger, I could have also, carried that air, just sitting, respect yourself, wait for them to come and knock to say food is ready, to come, I didn't do any of those. And I remember I told you that, Kara, I came in, it was as though I had just moved to another house, woke up in the morning, tidied like I would tidy in my house, cleaned up the dishes, cleaned up the house. I was practically busy cleaning, mopping. And of course, Yankee people now, nanny and helps are not easy to come by. You practically almost pay through your nose, so it was as if I was help that came in very handy. So my host, is my in-law. I didn't say, oh, she's a sister-in-law. She didn't serve me. She didn't greet me. She didn't ask if I was going to eat. And truly, she didn't ask any of those. She worked multiple hours. I was even the one taking care of her. She would come in and say, you know what, local dishes. I would go to the local grocery shops, the Mexican shops, the Brazilian shops, the people that I know their food, is close to ours. I will make lovely dishes. She comes home, I'll make her eat. In fact, I made their hair. I'm multi-talented. I made their hair. You know what braids means in the States? And you make for her, the only day she was around, I made her hair. I saved her at least about $400. By the time I was leaving, by the time I was leaving, she just turned and handed me her credit card. She said, you know what? You are a sister to stay with. That was my aim. As I was leaving, that door was not ajar. It was wide open for the next time that I would come. It was like, oh, you really have to go. Of course I have to go. I came for school. I'm not the one to ask how long is too long, Kara. There was a purpose. But the point I was trying to make is there is a way to stay. So that at the end of the day, the door is not shut permanently at you. There is a way to stay, irrespective of who you are. I could have come there and said, you know what, this is my uncle's house. Back in Nigeria, I'm the boss. I'm this, I'm that. I did not do any of those. If you see me washing, you will wonder whether I'm a lagbafo, like the Yorubas will call those washing people, or the dry cleaner. So there's a way to stay. There's a way to stay.
I can't thank you. I can't thank you enough for that. I almost fainted here when you said, you know what braids means. I know what braids means. And for you to make that hair, and that advice was gold for me, because I took it. I had a conversation with my husband, and we calculated. So one of the reasons why you're even staying with them is because you can't afford to stay that duration in a hotel. So we calculated, if we're going to stay that duration in a hotel, how much will we have spent? And then, okay, that's too much. How much can we afford if we're really paying for accommodation? Then when we knew that money, by the time we got to my cousin's house, of course, all these other things you said, I did it all. Woke up in the morning, came down, scrubbed. And she was saying, Karachi, you don't have to. Why? Why are you doing it? Like, I did it. In fact, by the time the husband, because the lady was my cousin, the guy, was the in-law. So I just didn't, by the time he's down, everything is ready. Tea, the kids are, and then something else really good that we did was the money we'll have used for accommodation. We spent it on that house. So you can imagine they will come home, we'll have gone to a Nigerian restaurant because they're Nigerians and Nigerian food is expensive. We'll chatter, moi, jollof, right? And so at the end of the day, we had paid for an affordable accommodation, but at the same time, we had won over a relative. So Casey, that advice was gold. Thank you so much. In as much as we're talking about America, it also applies here in Nigeria.
It applies here. It applies here. It applies here.
I totally agree. But then, like I said at the beginning, I don't think there's anybody here who I haven't been in their guest room. So this table, people are shaking this night. I'm holding my heart in my hand because I've stayed.
We're all on the table. We're all on the table. We're shaking.
I'm telling you, I started staying with Chinwe from university. When I come to her state, I will stay in her room. Chinwe will come and say, let us, who can finish it?
Let us arrange.
Let us arrange the room. So there's nobody here been in her house who even till tomorrow. But then now I think that brings me to my next question. And Ada the Sage, maybe you can help us with this and your wisdom. Not everybody in the guest room is a predator. Yes, some people are predators, and so can you help us? What are some tips we can use to know this person is not a good person to have in your guest room, and then this person is okay?
Okay, so I think I like what Casey was talking about, and there's actually a way to stay in someone's house, but unfortunately, we don't all reason that way. And you see, the heart of man is very, very, very desperately dark. Do you understand? So we shouldn't be naive as much as, because like Casey was talking about from the point of her being a guest at someone's house. Now I'm talking about from the point of you letting someone into your house. There's need for people to be wise. In letting in someone into your house, you need to be considerate of the minors who live in your house, the people who you live with, the vulnerabilities of the other occupants of the house. So it's not just enough to say, and that's, for example, I was the only child for many years, a girl. My mom never ever brought in a male house help into the house. Not that the females can't be funny, but you can't go and bring yam and a goat and then now tell the goat not to eat yam. Why create situations that are difficult to wriggle out from? So in letting in people into your house, we need to be on guard. Don't be naive, don't be too trusting. Whether it's your brother, your sister, your husband's relative, your relative, you need to, like we say, shine your eyes very well. Trust is earned, it's not given. You don't dish out trust on a platter to people. They have to earn it. So your eyes must be open. If you must open the doors for people, because many people have let in predators and into their homes, and all sorts of things are going on. So basically, how do you spot this kind of people? No agenda people, never do wells. They just came to lounge, relax and eat. Brother, in Lagos, they are picking money on trees. Let me just go there and go and dive. They come in with all kinds of vices and stories. Brother, let us come to Lagos. We're looking for work. That's how they call. I don't know how to say it in Yoruba. But by the time they come in, from the get-go that this one doesn't have any plans. So, but I'm going to just talk briefly about spotting out predators, in your house. Like I said, you can't be naive. Someone comes into your house and then the person is trying so hard you know, to win the trust of you and your spouse, they always add in extra laugh, you know, running extra, and you can just read through those extras. It's either the person has something the person wants to hide, or it might actually be genuine. But what I'm saying is open your eyes. So the person is always trying to be around your children, always trying to isolate your children, lure them into spaces when the person can converse with your child. Why should the person be more interested in your child than you are? Like they say, when you go for a burial and you see someone who is crying more than the people who own the corpse, the dead body, that person is a suspect. It's funny, but we need to be very wise when we do things. So you see people who are all overtly trying to be nice to your children in the house. Oh, come now, you know. That's a red flag. It doesn't mean it's always it, but if it smells like it might be it, you know. Then they try to, like I said, entice the children with gifts and money. Then they have very inappropriate conversations with the children or with these young kids, you know, trying to expand their imagination and start trying to downplay. You know, what the person is trying to do is desensitize those children from those kind of funny things. And that's why you don't allow your children look into people's phones. If someone is in your house, I don't let my son pick up anybody's phone to even scroll, because I don't know, you know, the phone is a harbinger of a lot of things. Some people's phones, once you touch it, something funny just springs up and images just stick on the children's mind. So that's why I'm saying that we owe it as a responsibility to the people who we live with to be mindful of who we bring, especially to protect our children. You know, I also made a note here. People that hug and kiss. Then another thing is these people assess how closely you monitor your home. Some of us, you come back home, you're tired, you just lie down, and they notice that there are hours that go unsupervised for your children. Maybe you just leave the children somewhere, and you know, the person sees that there's a space here that I can, you know, filter into, and the person takes advantage and is now claiming, I want to read stories to your children. Are you Auntie Karachi reading on Readland? That's not acceptable. So we need to be wise. Then I wanted to also add here, even the woman or the man in the house can be predated on. It's not only children who you should protect. A man owes it to protect his wife. There are people you can, listen, when people are having unhappy marriages, the thing opens up the door for a lot of things. And that's why a lot of times people wonder, why do men go and start fiddling around with their house helps? I'm not making an excuse for it and I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying that it's also a guest room matter, because the person there now is the house help. It could be a husband's relative, and maybe the lady is looking for where to go and spill. And you see, they said, who listens to you will give you attention, direction. So she's always talking. Those things bring bonds. After a while, something can be good, starts under the hood. And it's not that people plan these things, but they happen. So as a responsible husband, then as a lady or a person, know your own boundaries, know the kind of things, kind of people that when they come, you know, they provoke certain kinds of feelings. You don't want them in your house. We need to tell ourselves the truth sometimes. Then just quickly, let me talk about those no do wells. We have those, and those were the types that used to come. They land in your house claiming that they are looking for a job from day one. And these guys, oh yeah, what is your schedule, your plan? No agenda. They can be sleeping up until 8 o'clock. You are awake at 6 o'clock, making food for your husband to pack in his lunch bag. They are still on their bed sleeping. How can anybody who is genuinely looking for a job still be lying down when the owner of the house is trying to get ready to go to work? The person is with you, you are a self-employed person. He has never offered for one day, uncle, auntie, let me know what your business is about. Let me get about, you know, these are signs. The person only came to eat. They know when the food is ready. As the average is serving around the house, they wake up from sleep and follow that aromatic eat what's only their plates, take off, and they go. You know, so these never-do-wells have no agenda. They want to be served. They do not act like stakeholders in the home. So you know that they came to leech on you. They just came to feast. You know, they're looking for, it's not a symbiotic relationship. It's a parasitic relationship. They're parasites. They come to suck. And anytime you call them out on their attitude, if they were genuine, what they would do is, I didn't see, no, they get angry and take their bag, leave, and then start spreading rumors about you. So these days I've learned that there's a phrase we use in Igbo language called omeka siora. it doesn't add any value to you. Mekasera means the whole world knows that you are a good person. Oh, everybody is thinking. No, many times it's because people feel they can use you and get things out of you. We must learn to jealously guard our spaces, jealously guard our homes and our spaces. Your home is not a public place, in a private space. It's a private space, a private place where you let down your hair.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I can't even talk. I can't talk. I can say that last time again. Your home is not a.
Your home is not a public place, a private space. It's a private space in a private place where you let down your home and give yourself sense. Not hoping that people will exploit you if you're not white.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let me just say a few things. And then you've touched on a lot of points, very, very valid points, and you're so spot on. And now I understand clearly, even from experience, why your father guarded you guys as an only child at the time before your brother came. It was very important for us. But 5 of us, and we're all spaced 1 year, less than 2 years. And I realize now that I have 4 children that there was some security around more than one. Because one will come and tell, and then they when it's a close-knit family, they are together most times. So there's no space for those predators or bad influencers to have an impact. And then of course, by the time mommy and daddy come in and you're telling them the story of the day, and they pick out 1 or 2 things, they ask the right questions, and they just clear any cobwebs that may have come in. And so there's no long-lasting negative impact of these visitors. So really, so many points made, really, and I'm just trying to digest everything. But it's about setting the atmosphere. And most times it's the woman that sets the atmosphere. But when the couple jointly set the atmosphere, everybody just aligns with that atmosphere, and they just know that some things can happen. That whole thing about, let me talk like the sage. I won't say it's in evil, but that thing about flies not being able to perch on a hot pot, when you set your home in that way, you can't do it.
Wow. Thank you very, very much, C. So many, in fact, my head is buzzing because so many things have been said here already. I think we should just maybe move on to, I think we've already maybe started that, but what about the impact? The impact of these people. What's the impact? What impact does it have on family? What impact does it have on behavior? What impact does it have on finances? What impact does it have on the marriage itself? So I think maybe I'll start with Ruth. So what impact do you think it can have on maybe behavior, family?
Okay, when we talk about impact, because I've listened to Ada speak, and all the things that she's warning about is a great impact it can have. Because if something goes wrong, maybe a child is exploited or something just goes wrong, that impact will be great. And the parents or whoever let in that predator would feel very bad. So one of the impacts on it is like regret. That's when we're looking at, retrospect, regrets. You start regretting, why did I let this person in? And that's where it's important for us to test and all that. But one of the impacts that that comes to mind is confusion in culture. I read an article sometime about a guy who said, why my children don't have sleepovers. And something as simple as a sleepover, he talked about how much the behavior of a child can change, with someone from another family with a different culture coming in just for a sleepover. There's so much confusion that input can create in a child's mind, because the person comes with a different culture, says this is how we do it here, and this is how, and so there's some confusion. So some discussions have to go on. So confusion in culture, when there's a way we do things in this house, and someone comes in and he has a different culture, he has a different mindset, he has a different attitude, it can create some chaos within the system. And so these are things that need to be watched out for. You don't just leave it open and just expect that things will just flow, because people come with their culture, people come with their mindsets, people come with their attitudes, and it affects children. Children are like magnets. They pick those things very, very easily. And when those things start happening and you start recognizing all these issues, you find out that it creates conflict at times, because you come in and you're saying, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And these are things that have not been addressed beforehand. And so there's conflict that arises. And conflict comes as a result of, this is what I said to someone, who had stayed with me, as a result of unmet expectations. Someone comes in, you have an expectation which is totally different from the other person's understanding or the other person's willingness to give whatever expectations you have brought up or you have within you. And it can create a lot of hurt, it can create a lot of conflict. And where you have created a system that is so calm and everything is so secure, and people come in and begin to create those mismatches here and there, where it comes, unmet expectations and also mismatched obligation. You expect someone to do something that the person has no intention of doing, So that's why it's very important what Casey talked about. When you come in, exceed expectations. That's what I would say. It's important to understand expectations and try as much as possible to exceed them, because usually when expectations are not met, that's where conflict comes in, and it's a big issue. It has a very big impact, because what happens, as Ada said, is that the people go out of that situation with a lot of stories or a lot of things that they don't understand, because really a lot of times we don't communicate. In these settings, there's no discussion, there's no definition, nothing is defined, nothing is discussed, and communication usually is very difficult for people. And when something is not well communicated, they can misconstrue any story or any experience or any situation can be misconstrued. And so I usually take my time to have a very good conversation, make things clear, clarify, because it's very, very important. You say, this is how we do things in this house, so please don't do this or do that, because my children are here. So you have to be able to have those conversations, as difficult as they might be. You said it earlier that my house is Veritas Hotel. I've had a lot of people, all the spectrum, the whole spectrum, is covered, but I've been able to handle it because of boundaries created, conversations had, and all that. So it's important to do that, because the impact is really great, and so that's how to help cover up.
Thank you. I'm looking at that. Some people are responding on YouTube. I'm looking at what Dove Foundation is saying. And there's something very funny. She said, Mama Africa has expired. Those days of Mama Africa. Then she says, when we make our home a public space, we sleep with our eyes open. And that is not good. I think that's a really profound statement. Thank you very much, Dove Foundation. Moving on really very quickly. Maybe Casey, you can help us talk about the impact on finances, the impact on marriages. What impacts can it have, Casey?
Okay, so when we were starting off, thank you very much, Kara. When we were starting off this conversation, we went in retrospect. We started with our homes, and now we're talking about ourselves. Growing up, part of the knowledge base I had to build was to truly define what a home is, and so I'll be answering that question from that perspective. And I have 7 definitions of what a home should be. Right? A home primarily is an altar. So this is, in answering this, I'm trying to tell you today what would even make me permit you be in my home, right? A home is an altar, okay? Meaning it's a place where first and foremost we find God. And thank God this season, because that is the kind of experience we have built, the impact of COVID hasn't been devastating on our spiritual lives, because first, primarily, it's an altar. The second thing is that the home is a place of refuge. It's a place to come in and hide. It's a place to hide your head. Number 3, the home is a safe haven. right, is a place of safety. So when you know circumstances are created, situations are created where people now have to be preyed upon, you have to be preyed upon, a wife has to be preyed upon, a husband has to be preyed upon, because when you have a man sneaking now into the guest room at odd hours, he's now being preyed upon. Though it looks like, you know, he's even the predator. But of course,
How
you
is he
understand
preyed
what I mean.
upon?
He's praying. No, you brought in what has created that for him. You know, the fourth definition of what a home is, I've mentioned that it's a place of refuge. It's a safe haven. It's a place of rest. It's a place of rest. So this is not to demean what Chinwe said, but by the time you have 16 people in a home, I mean, unless it's a country yard, you can't have rest. There can't be rest in such a home. A home is an incubator. It's a place where people are incubated. And that's why probably I may need to bring in a mentee. I'm not going to maybe bring in a mentee or someone, a passerby, because you know, you probably, it's late, you're looking for where to stay. No, you should plan your day well. I'm a realist. You should plan your day well to know when night has come. If it's that probably you're being in my home to be incubated upon. And if you're to be incubated upon, it means a lot has to be going on at the same time. You're not just there, you know, to laze about. The sixth one I have here is that a home is a training institution. Like I said, as an incubator, it means you need to hatch into something if you're within that home. A home is a training institution. The last one is that a home is a launching pad. I had to go this route because whether you like it or not, especially in today's economy, an extra mouth or two will definitely have an impact on your finances. Especially if you're someone like me, raised by the kind of mother that raised me. I say it everywhere. I remember when I was even vying to be on the TEDx platform, I was asked to mention who my financial mentor is. It was my mom I mentioned, a widow who could raise her kids in the university. I can't remember her owing. I can't remember anybody coming to knock on our door. You know, I can't remember us totally going hungry. You know, the basic right needs. I can't remember us saying that we were in one uncle's house or one auntie's house as help because we didn't have accommodation, we couldn't pay for it. No, we may not have had all of the luxury, but those basic things, I saw this woman tenaciously pull through. She will always tell you, when you spend when you're not supposed to spend, when you're supposed to spend, you won't have to spend. And so because of that, if you drink water, you write it. You spend 10 kobo, you write it. I can tell you how long a bag of rice will stay in my house. I can be that meticulous. In fact, I've heard people pass jokes over me that, you go to house, you may not eat. It does not mean that I'm not hospitable. It just simply means that I do not have the large pots to be feeding you. I'm not a restaurant. Do you understand that? I'm not a restaurant because I would need to calculate those things. Having said that, it doesn't then mean you cannot harbor. I will harbor under the premise of these definitions that I have given a home. It's either you are there to be incubated upon. It's either you're there, you know, to have a launch pad. It's either you're there to be trained. It's either you're there to have a safe haven. Depending on the reason you are there, you know, it behoves on me to also ensure that that happens for you. Meaning that you would be on an itinerary, you will have a schedule, whether you are a help or a relative or a mentee or a friend. So for example, it can be a friend. There's been times where you probably have a friend who has family issues and needs to drop by. So maybe at that time, my home is a haven, a safe refuge for you. It means that we will have early morning conversations around it. It means we will have night conversations around it, so that indeed is a safe haven for you. And when you're living, you're not living out into the harsh weather or the realities of life or the choices that you have made. So impact of finances, yes, can be grave. However, what I'm saying is that when there is a reason behind it, when there is a goal to achieve, then it is a cost that can be absorbed. You would know that this cost went into this. you know, and it's not like the scenario Ada painted, where some of us had such parents, you know, everybody that had a landing point in the city, cosmopolitan city, was your house. They grow up, they can't even visit those parents that helped them. They can't even check on them. They can't even send Christmas gifts. So it's not, some of us learned. And that's why I can be coming up with these definitions and saying that this is what a home should be. This is what my home should be, either of this for you. And then talking about influences, it's a huge one. So at times you have relatives staying, it may be husband's side, it may be wife's side. And you know, at times people mean well. Not everyone has put themselves through personal development or mental development to know when they are not creating issues. You know, so all of these side G's, they see that, oh, your husband loves you too much. They see that this is your wife safe. She's always pressing her phone. So ideally, maybe in that your house, those things wouldn't have been an issue. But a third eye, a prying eye has come, especially relatives, you know, and then you have some of those side talks. If you are not mature, the wife, the husband, you take all of those things, I use the word mature, you take all of those things hook, line, and sinker. And, you know, of course, I also talk from a place of experience. I'm not just talking theoretically, because I also have had and still have relatives, very near relatives, you know, living. As a matter of fact, my mother lives with me. So the truth is, that mindset family members have, is my sister, so it's on my side. This person is my brother, is on my side. It's something that maturity needs to crush it. Family is family. So this person brings gist, oh, this is how they are treating my brother. This other person brings, this is how they are treating my sister. It will become the responsibility of the owners of the house to know what information to work with, to know when information, you know, when you are to receive it. There are some you must receive. You can't say no and begin to fight. You say, oh, really? Thank you. As you're saying that thank you, that is where it ends. You're not acting on it. You're not doing anything about it, because crack, you've had people say, oh, mother-in-laws separated their homes and all of that. So that responsibility becomes the responsibility of the owners of the house, the male and the female. Thank you, Kara.
That's profound. That is profound. I love the way you connected what a home, the definition of a home, into the different needs that people that come into your home will have. That is profound. Thank you so much, Casey. People are laughing. People are laughing on YouTube. Shola is saying, table shaking. Oh, Amaka is laughing. She's saying, then she quoted something you said, Casey. Shola said, I'm not a restaurant. You are really a realist, Casey. And I totally agree. Thank you so much. So just an off on the side, you know, when you said there are 16 people in the house and all whatnot, it happened. For me, for somebody else, for us, it was the dogs. We had I've never seen a Casanova dog like the one we had when I was growing up. He brought in girlfriends on a daily. He was very, very viral. People are laughing. Before we knew it, we had 9 dogs in one house. My mom had to package that dog from the guest room, put him in the car. I don't know where she went to, came back without our dog. That's how the dog started reducing in our house. So if you're saying many, many people, the dogs were having more budgets than human beings. 9 people to eat Gary. I know Nigerian dogs eat Gary. Let's not even get into that. See, you wanted to say something?
You know, there are times when you have one family occasion. So when you say 16 people at a time, of course, it might just be one weekend or one whole week, and it's always fun. And you know, from what Casey said, you know, just comparing when I was growing up and now, 2 different times, you know, and things are clearer now. There's technology, this whole thing of you know, mass communal living, you know, it's not wise these days at all, you know. So what I wanted to say has to do with you know, the same thing we talked about, setting value. Okay, you can, you know, make it so clear about family bonding and all that, where people know that, you know, there are times when the mom and the dad want to be with their children. So people in the guest room, stay on your lane. Don't intrude into family space at all, you know. So that's something that I think over time you can set the atmosphere. There are times when actually you don't really want to have any of these people in your guest room, okay? So it's about setting the boundaries, deciding how things should be, and, you know, just making sure that even the children understand the values and they communicate it from time to time. You know, back to what Ruthie the prof said about having those difficult conversations with people in the guest room. Sometimes you might sit them down at the beginning of the stay to say, okay, this is how we do here. Other times they come in and automatically they know every morning there's morning devotion. You know, there were times when, you know, maybe you know someone who is a smoker or a drinker, they can't just bring that to the house to come and bring any negative influences. So it's very important to set values, have those conversations, and definitely, you know, we cannot, based on how things were done growing up, you know, bring in the same things to how we want to run, treat the guest room these days. There are times when you actually shouldn't have anyone in the guest room, but it's for you to decide, you know, like we said, the impact on the relationship, impact on the marriage, impact on children, impact on finances, and impact on you yourself, particularly where you want to have your own personal space.
Very important. Even something you just said that struck me when you said sometimes there should be nobody in the guest room. You know, sometimes in the guest room there's nobody, but then there's a computer connected to the internet. That is somebody in your guest room. Because if you leave your children without being monitored, they can get in there and be visiting all sorts of sites and doing all sorts of things. And you think there's nobody there. There's a lot of harm around. So I think it's called netiquette, etiquette for the internet. We must begin to teach our children what that means and how to navigate that space safely. Thank you so much, guys. Moving on very quickly. Let's just begin to tie things up. How do we live with them? How do we live without them? Maybe if each of us just take one point and very quickly, because of time, just share with us what's the one thing we can do to live with them or to live without them. Depends. Yeah, maybe Chinwe?
Yeah, I think it's very important to define the arrangement and the duration. No one should come into your home and think it's till eternity. It shouldn't happen. The home, like the way Casey has defined the home, is very profound. And if all of us can write it down and use it as a checklist, it's very important. You just need to know what you want to achieve. Because you can't assume that, oh, I've trained my children well, oh, my husband and I have a good relationship, nobody can come in between. You don't just make those assumptions. You can't make those assumptions. So you define the arrangement, set the duration, and even define the basis on which they can have any impact. You know, it's very important. You know, that's what I'll just contribute at this time. Very important to just define the arrangement and the duration. Don't assume that, you know, because this large heart thing, like Ada said, that thing of, oh, being nice and all that, you know, in the end, you might just be shooting yourself in the foot.
We're saying our last words, right? I can hear you. Are we saying our last word?
Last words, yes.
Okay, so two things I will just round up with. Remember, we said your home is not a public space. It's a private place. Keep it private and be very, 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 very wise about who you let in and guard your home jealously. The second thing is, you know, in Igbo, I'm going to say it in Igbo, I'll interpret. They said, "Anebido no tutu, achuwe woji, tupuchi ejilahu magi mewu." You start in the morning to look for a black goat. You don't look for a black goat at night, because at night you can't find yourself. You can't even see the black goat. Having conversations early in a relationship is so important. A lady is dating a guy, and anytime you visit him, you see all his younger brothers and sisters are living in his house. How do you think that he's going to marry you and then send everybody out? That's already baggage. Those are already people, I'm sorry, not baggages, I'm sorry. That's yes, it's something he's bringing into the marriage. You can't just, it is foolishness to think that you're just going to come in and get them all to move out. So you have to tell yourself the truth. If you're not the accommodating type, you have no business with that kind of man, because obviously that man has no issues with having all his siblings live with him, and vice versa. So people need to wake up and have these conversations very, very, very early in their relationships. Also, like Casey was saying, we need to play fair. When we take up the word in-law, a lot of problems are solved. Your mother-in-law is your mother. Women always say, I wish the man I marry, his mom is dead. What about your mom and her sons? What if the girl your brother is dating is also hoping that your own mom is not alive? Do you understand? So
what about your own son? What about your own son?
Exactly.
That will now have a wife.
Exactly. The world is sweeter when you're spending from another person's bag until it touches you. So let's always put ourselves, always play things back. If I were the one, how would it, look? I think
True.
and then lastly, put your marriage first. The Bible says, what the Lord has joined together, let no one, nothing put asunder. Whatever is causing problems at home, if it is this guest room matter, lock the guest room with a key and throw the key away. Nobody will be angry with you.
2 words, only 2 words, live purposefully. That's all I'll say. When purpose is behind what it is you're doing, you're harboring, you're keeping someone, you're fending for someone, you're letting someone in, let there be a purpose to it. Stick to that purpose, communicate that purpose. And last, we shall be all right.
What I'll say in closing is that we need to be sensitive, we need to be vigilant, we need to be prayerful. One thing, we need to understand, if you have a guest room, that means you're expecting that people can come around once in a while. So manage your expectations, but like Casey said, your home is an incubator. Put your home, cover it with a presence that will bring in sanity into that whole system. There's a scripture that talks about, cities of refuge. And that's the way I look at my home. I look at my home as a city of refuge. Anybody that runs into this home comes into a presence, comes into like a system. And that person can find refuge no matter what you come with, no matter what you have in your mind. When you come in there, the system puts you in order. So be prayerful, be vigilant, build your fort, and still be sensitive to people's needs as well. Don't close your doors, because you have a guest room. People would need to come in there once in a while. So just have that boundary, set the boundaries, and then know how to create the system that will put everything in check. So that's what I'll say for now. Karachi. Kara.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I've unmuted myself. So thank you so much. I think you guys have said it all. So many profound ideas, thoughts have been shared tonight. We haven't covered this topic, and please let me just be very clear to say that it is a very vast topic. We cannot cover it. So what we did tonight was share the basic principles that can help you decide regardless of your scenario. However, we got some spice for you next week. So just stay glued. If there's anything you missed out, you shouldn't have missed out on a few of the tips that we shared. Your definition of your home should guide who you let in. Give people a time limit to sort the issues out, whatever issues they have for which they visited. Compassion is key. Then we also talked about your house not being a restaurant. Invite what you can handle. People have different financial capacities, so make sure that you're not putting too much strain on your family. Proactively look for alternatives if required. And as families, like Ada was telling us, whilst you trust people, you need to test people. And very important, have a relationship with your children. Have those conversations where they can open up and tell you exactly what they're comfortable or not comfortable with. And with that, we've come. A lot of people are saying so many lovely, lovely things on YouTube. Shola is talking quite a lot. She's talking about people are more connected online today than they are with their families. That is so true, Shola. You said the relationships online can have a major effect on families. Exactly. So you see, there are things, that are in the guest room that are not physical human beings, but still they have an impact. Thank you so much for that, Shola. And people are saying, Ada, we love your space. This is the powder room. We let our head down. We talk about things that are not in topic. So Ada, they love your space, your whiteness and all that. I'm annoyed. Yeah, nobody talks about my space. So next week, we're going to be we're having the family court house. That's why I told you guys, don't worry. We didn't come this week. There's a lot that happens within the family. And I'm so proud of these girls in the powder room because we have 3 or 4. How many do we have? Mediators. How many mediators? 2
lawyers, 3 mediators.
I'm not ashamed to say I'm the only one that's for me. He's my mediator. But every other person here is a mediator. Ruth is a mediator. C is a lawyer. Ada is a lawyer. Karachi is a teacher.
Yes, so
next week is going to be the family court room. We're going to be taking scenarios. If you want to share a scenario with us anonymously, of course, we're going to respect your privacy. Send us your scenario, like us on YouTube, and also on Facebook. We're on Facebook Live for the very first time today. So you have those avenues to drop your chats and your thoughts and all whatnot. And we'll take those scenarios in the coming week. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Love you guys with all our hearts, and we hope you've picked up 1 or 2 things. So
thank you.
It's bye-bye at the powder.
Au revoir.
You can say bye-bye.
Bye. Love you all. Bye.
Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you're not beautiful. Who told you all those lies that just deceiving you? Don't you know that you can be all you've always dreamed of? God made you beautiful, said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last, so don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. Hey, young man, I see through your eyes and I can tell you the way you see yourself is how I feel you. Don't you know the stuff of what you're made of? Everybody listening, as long as you're breathing, yes, you have hope. And if you're down, the only way is up. Don't you know that he who's down needs fear no fall? God made you beautiful. He said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last, so don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. Hey, hey, don't believe those lies and those illusions. Don't you know that you are better, bigger and better than that? Yeah, God made you beautiful. He said it in His word that you were beautiful, and you were going places that you never dreamed. recognizing those illusions. Don't you know you're beautiful? Yeah. Me and my Rugo, but my control.